Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and it's about time I spoke about perfume, isn't it? It's been a little while, so I have decided to do a spring perfume video. Because I was inspired, I tried one of my oils today. I used one of my body oils today before I use perfume. Sometimes if I'm just about the house, I will use body oil and just enjoy the smell of that for a little while before I spray any perfume. And today I wore my Tom Ford Soleil Blanc body oil. I'm going to do a separate video on my body oils. I've got a very small but very nice collection. And Annie is joining us doing what Sweetie used to do. There she is. You can hear her purring. Okay, right, so spring perfumes. I was inspired to do this because I put on this Soleilnage body oil and it smelled so good, and I just thought this is perfect for spring. Spring seems to be finally arriving. It's still a bit chilly out there, you know. We're not really getting the weather that I think we should and I think we deserve here in the UK, but never mind. We've got some spring perfumes. I might be a bit late to the game with these. Most people have probably done these videos a long time ago. Here's mine. So I've got about 8 perfumes here to talk about, and in no particular order, but we may as well start with Soleilnage from Tom Ford because that is what inspired this video, and I am wearing it today. So I just wore the oil for the first few hours of the day, and then I sprayed on the perfume, and I do really enjoy this one, and I think it's the muskiness. So Soleilnage has bergamot, carrot seeds, white flowers, orange blossom, jasmine, rose, benzoin, vanilla and labdanum. What a beautiful list of notes. They are all up my street. Nothing there I don't love. And the overall effect is very musky. Vanilla doesn't dominate. It's not a vanilla perfume. It's a musky floral with a gentle, sweet, I wouldn't say ambery exactly, but kind of ambery base, but very, very light and not woody ambery, sweet, slightly resinous ambery, which is the way I like it. When you first spray this, you definitely do get the citruses, and they can come off a little acidic and maybe too acidic. I've described it before as smelling almost vomit-like, which I know sounds horrible, but if you think of the acidity side of things, it's not. It doesn't smell exactly like vomit or even that close to vomit, but there is quite a strong acidity that might not gel well with everyone. I don't really find the rose in here. It's more of a gentle, soft white floral, so nothing screechy, nothing sharp, nothing too heavy from the florals, not too exotic, not too heady, very soft, clean. This could be the perfect laundry detergent, like the most high-end laundry detergent. Very, very musky in a clean, soft, fluffy way, and I really enjoy it. So Soleilnage from Tom Ford. I actually get quite good performance from it as well. I was never quite sure with this one, and then when I got the bottle I realised it actually does really last me the whole day. It's not a really strong performer, but it's enough for me to get little whiffs, especially if I use it with the oil as well. I think that really helps. So the next one for me, this has always been very much my spring go-to. The perfect spring scent is Sex and the Sea Neroli from Francesca Bianchi, and this is a really strong fragrance. Very, very strong, projecting, lasting. It's immense, highly concentrated. I don't know if it's, I think they're all extract from Francesca Bianchi, and you can see from the colour as well, it's obviously going to be quite strong. The note listing is quite long, strong and long. Neroli, coconut, ambergris, civet, honey, mimosa, petitgrain, immortelle, iris, vanilla, benzoin, sandalwood, labdanum, rose, bergamot and vetiver. I don't think I'd pick out a lot of those. Petitgrain I would say really stands out. Petitgrain, probably mixing with the neroli, you get quite a sharp green, orangey, fresh smell from it, especially at the beginning. It's very uplifting, invigorating, kind of like, you know, like very, very like bam, in your face, citrus green, orangey hue kind of thing. I think the coconut's very soft. I never really pick it out. I think it blends in with the other sweeter notes. So you just get a gentle idea of sunscreen, and there is a slight dirtiness to it, but I would never have picked out civet. It's quite rich yet fresh, because you get this green sort of like neroli petitgrain thing somehow manages to last almost all the way through the scent. Obviously not as strong as it is in the opening, but it does hang on all the way through. So it stays fairly fresh. It's always really strong, a little bit sweet. And in the far dry down is when you start to pick out the vanilla, the sweeter notes. I don't think I'd ever pick out the rose. I don't think I've ever found the rose. I wouldn't have necessarily got that there was immortelle in here either. It definitely does smell floral. It does smell like there's some white florals in there. It does give you like suntan lotion vibes, but it's not a typical beachy fragrance. It definitely has this sharper edge to it. It's a bit of an edgy suntan lotion fragrance, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's just so good for spring, because spring is still a bit cold here, but you want to feel spring-like. So the compromise is to find a strong fragrance that's kind of citrusy and fresh, and reminds you of holidays as well, which is quite nice. So yeah, Sex and the Sea Neroli is a really, really good one, and you don't need much at all, hence why this has lasted me quite a few years, and I definitely wear it. And I will wear it year round, but spring is the time that really screams. That's the time to wear that. The next one then is from Teone Reinthal. There was always going to be one in here, and I chose Heartache of the Mai, which is another floral, fresh floral citrus with a deeper resinous base. So the notes are neroli, yuzu, lemon, rose, orris, ambret, olibanum, white tea, nutmeg, vanilla orchid, and patchouli. So what do we get from Heartache of the Mai? I'm going to spray this one. It's a very happy scent. Oh. Definitely get the neroli, but it's not as green as neroli typically can be. So if we go back to Sex and the Sea neroli, that neroli obviously blending with the petitgrain as well, but it comes off very, very green. This neroli seems to be a different species that is just not so green and bitter. It's less sharp. It definitely has sharpness in here. You can smell the citruses all blending together, but you can smell the resin underneath as well. So it does smell a little bit incensey, almost straight away, but it's pretty. It's pretty. Yes, you've obviously got yuzu and lemon and neroli, and they're all quite sharp citruses, but it's just not that green as you might imagine with neroli. Oftentimes it's green and oftentimes it's bitter, and I wouldn't say it's exactly bitter, but it is sharp. But you get this powderiness, which I think is probably the orris, could be the ambret, or a mixture of both. And it comes off resiny to me. It comes off like powdered incense just sitting underneath everything. There's nothing really that incensey in the note listing, apart from maybe olibanum, which is like a smoky kind of, I think it's a resin, isn't it? Sort of like a smoky woody note. That might be what's giving it the incensey feel. And you get a little bit of the sweetness at the beginning, but the sweetness comes through later on from the vanilla. Florals is just rose, really, isn't it? Rose and neroli. Yeah, you can smell the rose, although I think it does blend in so nicely with everything that you would never say, well, I would never go, wow, that's a rose fragrance. But when you know it's rose, yeah, you can smell that it's rose. But there's a lot of other things that just make it so interesting, and it's so pretty. I'm not really familiar with tea notes too much in perfumery. I know generally speaking, a lot of perfumes with tea I don't love, but this I really, really do love. There's nutmeg. I don't find it that spicy though. Overall, the impression is a citrusy, floral, incensey but quite powdery feel. And yeah, it's lovely. It's really lovely. One that I really have got through almost the whole bottle now, and that is Levant from Ormond Jane. Look at that. This is such a pretty, it's another powdery musky floral. That's a theme. That's pretty much everything in my life these days. This has got mandarin, tangelo, bergamot, rose, orange blossom, peony, jasmine, lily of the valley, musk, cedar and amber. And this one, I'd say the citruses aren't as strong in this as they have been in the other fragrances I've mentioned. But they're still definitely there. You get an orangey feel because obviously you've got mandarin. Tangelo, I believe, is probably like a tangerine. No, could be wrong. But you definitely get a really lovely vanilla-ness in the dry down. There's no vanilla listed, but there is an amber listed. This is not an amber fragrance. There might be a very sweet, non-woody amber in the dry down, but it's definitely not a typical amber, like, you know, amber absolute, like proper amber, strong and heavy. It's not like that at all. It's light and airy. Lots of clean musk going on in here, lots of powder, and the florals just blending together to make something very pretty. I would say it's quite feminine, very approachable. It makes me feel attractive in a really approachable, lovely way. The kind of fragrance I would expect someone who is kind to be wearing. It's a soft, approachable scent. So if someone works with children or just that really nice person in the office who you know you can approach and ask favors from, it's just got this, but it does have this sort of like clean and slightly professional vibe to it as well. Like you're wearing freshly laundered clothes and a very nice perfume at the same time. So yeah, I really love Levant. Really, really pretty. It just makes me feel good when I'm wearing it. It makes me feel put together but approachable, soft. And now we have, this one is from 4160 Tuesdays. I've undone the ribbon here. This one's called Clouds Illusion. This is the Parfum. There are various versions of Clouds on 4160 Tuesdays website, and what's available can change, but they're all very similar. The notes for this one is orris, vanilla, hay, citrus, tonka, narcissus, bergamot, sandalwood. And this is lovely. And it's so perfect for spring because you have both sides of clouds is you've got the thunder and the rain, and you've got the sunshine and the blue skies, you know, all of that. So with spring, of course, you get all the weathers, don't you? And this just feels perfect. You've got bright, fresh citrus. It smells a bit orangey lemony. And you've got the florals are very gentle, mixing with lovely hay and iris, so it sort of gives it a powdery but also an earthy tone. It's almost like thinking of rain after the sun. No, sun after the rain. Sunshine after the rain, that lovely petrichor smell, that chemical smell, so beautiful. I think it's so good. I love petrichor. I get that from here. It's also got a little bit of vanilla, so it does get a little sweeter into the base. It's not a particularly sweet fragrance. It's a little bit sweet, but not that sweet. It's earthy, but citrusy. So it's bright yet dark. It's light and dark, but done very, very gently. Everything's very cohesive. Nothing sticks out. Nothing feels weird. Doesn't take you on a roller coaster. It gently changes on your skin. Really, really good fragrance. I think from 4160 Tuesdays, definitely one of my favorites from the brand actually. So that one's Clouds Illusion. Now, another fragrance. I sprayed it today for the first time in ages. So this is actually discontinued, but it's not. So pay attention. So this is Powder and Dust from SP Parfums. SP Parfums is no longer trading, but Sven Pritzkelet, the perfumer who created this in conjunction with Jana from the channel Tomalise, and he actually sold the formula to Victor Wong, who has zoologists, and now the fragrance is called Cockatiel. And I smelt them side by side. I don't think there's very much difference at all. The only difference is that the fragrance is compounded by another company, obviously not created by Sven anymore. So there's a chance that some of the materials, the naturals, might be slightly different batches, but to me it smells the same. So you can get it now as Cockatiel. It used to be powder and dust, and I love this. It's got a pear note. Now Cockatiel isn't listing a pear note. They've changed the notes a little bit, but I always remember this because it had this amazing pear. It's a pear and a champagne note. So imagine a pear champagne, but dense it up a little bit. Maybe crush that pear, maybe condense that pear, maybe make the pear a bit sweeter, and then crush it up, mix it with the champagne. It's really lovely. There's a little bit of sweetness. It's actually quite sweet. It's probably the sweetest. I think this is the sweetest perfume here actually in this list. Quite sweet. I think there might be a little bit of pepper, but basically it's a bit vanilla-y in the dry down. So imagine that pear now gets mixed with a little bit of vanilla ice cream, but there's also a little bit of a woodsiness which kind of counteracts the sweetness. It's bright, it's attractive. It's not everyone's cup of tea though. I remember wearing it, and especially the very opening notes, some people screwed their noses up at it. So it's not a blind bite type of fragrance, but for me, I really, really love it. Very long lasting. It's sort of rich but fresh at the same time. And I think the pear and the champagne really make this fragrance. Yeah, it's beautiful. And yeah, I've sprayed some today upstairs, just sort of sprayed it around upstairs just to enjoy it. And I do really, really still love powder and dust. So it's now called Cockatiel by a zoologist. And the final one, and this is an absolute star, and it screams spring to me. It's perfect. It's Hira from Papillon. This one has orange blossom and jasmine. It has a stunning iris mixing in with those florals. So florals are vibrant and they're effervescent, but you have this iris which is thicker and mixes in with all of that, and it kind of keeps everything from being too out there. Like it tones everything down, but in a really lovely way. It is, I believe it's a chypre because it has got oak moss. It's not listed note, but Liz Moores, the perfumer, did confirm that there's oak moss in there because I could smell it in the dry down. There's oak moss and labdanum. It's also sort of a floral amber. It's almost like a floral amber mixed with a chypre. So you've got the florals, you've got the iris, making it a little powdery. You've got the lovely labdanum and oak moss. In the base, it gets more powdery, it gets more muted. The florals tone themselves right down. I pick out different things depending on when I'm wearing it, but ultimately it's a real luxury. It's a full-on, very strong and long-lasting, gorgeous fragrance that's just not for every day, in my opinion. It's for when you're wearing silk, it's for when you're doing something special. Now I say that and then I will wear it to Asda's, but the feel of the fragrance, because I just want to wear my perfumes, especially the ones I love, but the feel of the fragrance is that you need to be doing something special, that you are at your best, you're wearing your best clothes and you're dressed up and your makeup's done nice and your hair's done nice. It's just that kind of thing, because obviously it was created by Liz Moores for her daughter for her wedding day. And so, of course, it has a very elevated feel because it's the most important day of her daughter's life, and this is a perfume she created for it. So, yes, of course, it's going to make you feel quite elevated when you wear it. And I know I do. It's gorgeous. It's really, really gorgeous. And it really does scream spring just because of those florals, I think. Lovely. So that's it. That's my spring fragrances. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Give it a like. Give it a... What else can you give it? I don't know. Give it what you want. Give it a thumbs down if you want. I don't mind. I'm just happy that you're here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.